Hey everyone, Ro here. Today we are talking The Mandalorian. Now, as always with reviews, I do my best to keep it spoiler free. However, at the end of the review in this case, I do want to do some spoiler talk. Because, well, come on. However, I will of course make it clear when that's taking place at the end of the video. But with that said, let's just jump straight in. Okay. So obviously with The Mandalorian having 2 seasons under its belt, I had the luxury of being able to watch the full seasons all in more or less a couple of goes. And this helps to keep everything fresh in your mind. But on the other hand, I wasn't left with the week-long build of anticipation waiting for the next episode. So make of that what you will when I'm giving you my thoughts. Now, The Mandalorian is set in the aftermath of the original Star Wars movie trilogy, giving us a glimpse of life in the galaxy 5 years after the defeat of the Death Star at Endor. The burgeoning New Republic is attempting to stabilize the galaxy, and the Empire, while severely weakened, still remains defiant. And it's in this climate that we find The Mandalorian, as the communities of the Outer Rim make the most of this unstabilized galaxy. Now, first and foremost, the creative direction of this series is something that creator Jon Favreau truly deserves all the plaudits he has received. So often TV series of movie franchises promise so much, but at the end of the day they just feel like watered down versions of the main thing. Yet here The Mandalorian definitely did not disappoint. Right from the very beginning, this feels completely within the Star Wars galaxy, and it seamlessly immerses you within it. Now, a large part of this is undoubtedly due to the strong cast of characters, and brilliantly cast actors to go along with it. The Mandalorian himself, played by Pedro Pascal, has the unique challenge of conveying a character whose face remains hidden behind his armor. And boy does he pull it off brilliantly. Now again, credit is owed to the brave creative direction here, as most people who would have a character hidden behind a mask would have undoubtedly compensated by having him talk more. But not only is Mando hidden, he's also not particularly talkative. As a main protagonist of a series, boy should this not work. But it does. Absolutely magically it does. I've read that large inspiration was taken from Clint Eastwood and his particular spaghetti western movies. And you can see how here. The fact that The Mandalorian is so untalkative makes you want to hear what he has to say all the more. When he speaks, you listen. And the lack of conversation is made up in brilliant mannerism acting by Pascal. After a single episode, you know what he's thinking by the simple movement or sigh. He manages to convey emotion through an impassive helm. And look, we're not talking spoilers yet, but even people who haven't seen the series know of the child or baby Yoda as he's affectionately known. And if you class that as a spoiler, I do apologise, but I really don't think anyone will. And the simple fact is that this relationship can be crafted so strongly by no conversation and facial expression is really just a testament to every single aspect of this series' creation. And The Mandalorian is not alone in his quest, of course, and we are introduced to several side characters along the way. And each of these feel strong and complete in their own right. No one feels placed in just for the sake of it. And as these characters come and go, their relationships with The Mandalorian feel like a natural evolution, rather than something that's forced writing. Take a particular scene for example, where 4 characters are engaged and fighting the enemy. Halfway through this scene, it dawned on me that I'm watching 4 powerful kick-ass women. And not for 1 second did it feel out of place or forced. And that's the brilliance of this show. Everything is well written and evolves naturally. Now, for my opinion, a large party to that is the series format. The episodes vary in length depending on the story, and never do they overstay their welcome. Some are even nearly as short as 30 minutes, and it always leaves you wanting more. Each episode's somehow its own self-contained adventure, yet still contributing to Mando's own story. It kind of reminded me of a Star Wars version of A-Team in its own way, where each episode is its own new place and adventure, all wrapped up by the end of the time. I'd be interested to know how the wait for the next episode each week felt, because some of those shorter ones may have not been enough to fill in that Mando fix for me. Like I said, I had the luxury of seamlessly moving over straight away to the next episode. Overall, honestly, this series' success is no surprise to me because it just feels like it was made by people who truly understand and love the universe as much as the fans, as opposed to a commercial decision by a studio or director looking to make a statement. If I could give more than 2 thumbs up, I would. But The Mandalorian to me is just absolutely fantastic. And it is undoubtedly the best series, or even Star Wars product as a whole, that I can remember enjoying in a long time. But okay, that's the review over with. Now just some spoiler reaction talk that I wanted to go over. Now look, I'm not one for the arguing amongst the Star Wars fanbase about which films are good or bad. Hey, we can all love Star Wars in our own way. To me, that's the beauty of Star Wars. It speaks to different people in different ways. For me, as a guy in his 30s, the original trilogy is everything. It may have released at the cinemas before I was even born, but it just somehow retained that magic for me as I grew up as a kid. Whether it was when it was on TV each year, or watching it on VHS, Star Wars just had that magic. And while the prequels didn't match up to that, I was still a fan, because at the end of the day it was more Star Wars. Now unfortunately I am in the camp of being very disappointed in the sequel trilogy, to say the least. But that's mainly due to the portrayal of those characters I grew up with as a child. And I did enjoy Rogue One and Solo, so it has been kind of a mixed bag over the years. And the reason I wanted to bring that all up is because boy did The Mandalorian recapture the magic of Star Wars to me. I was real unsure at first despite the hype, but with each passing episode, I found myself more and more encapsulated by not only Din and Grogu's growing bond, but just the galaxy as a whole once more. This series was just so masterfully created that honestly Jon Favreau should just be handed the entire Star Wars franchise. Pretty much exactly the same like Kevin Feige has for the Marvel Universe. I really enjoyed the moments of this series that built up to Mando revealing his face, such as at the end of Season 1, and then again at the end of Season 2, in that absolute heart-wrencher of a goodbye to Grogu. And obviously that Season 2 ending is really what's worth talking about here, with, yes, that Luke Skywalker appearance. Again, as a guy in his 30s who grew up with Luke being the Jedi, his portrayal in the sequel trilogy was just beyond a disappointment to me. Even with just in small ways like him barely having the briefest moments with R2 and 3PO, it just didn't feel like Luke. So getting to see this Luke Skywalker, oh my god, I have no shame in admitting it. I was on the verge of tears. And never in a million years did I expect to feel that way going into this series. But the entire episode was a masterpiece from beginning to end, and honestly the perfect symbol for everything this series has done as a whole. The 2-season-long worth of investing into Grogu and Din's relationship had built to this moment. You wanted nothing more than to see him get Grogu back safely. And then you get this. Let's be honest, the ultimate fan service for old school Star Wars fans. It was just the perfect emotional roller coaster. From the initial "I'm coming to kick your ass and get my son" message back, to defeating Gideon only for the Dark Troopers to then come back, for Luke to arrive and get the moment of all moments, recapturing his father's Rogue One magic, to the face reveal and the subtle Luke's Force theme emotions. It was just special. And just when you think you're done, to top it all off, R2 rolls out into scene. It just pushed you over the edge. This was Luke as we all wanted to see him, with R2 tagging along. But with all of that, the emotional core of it all remained Mando and Grogu. As if you wasn't invested enough, you get Din showing Grogu his face as a final farewell. And I challenge anyone not to feel emotional in that moment, having watched it all from the beginning of Season 1. Again, I just can't sum it up any better than just saying it was something truly special. This show reignited a love of Star Wars in me that I didn't even realise I needed. And now with the Book of Boba Fett coming next month, with the Obi-Wan series in development and Ahsoka on the way, not to mention Mandalorian Season 3, well, the timing just couldn't be better. I am really intrigued to see how The Mandalorian continues with what's been the main story for its first 2 seasons, essentially all now resolved. I hope beyond hope it can keep up the magic, and honestly I think it will. Overall, to sum it up, like I've said, this series was just something magical. It reignited a Star Wars love for me that never went anywhere, but maybe did need a little rekindling after what was a couple of disappointments. The timing does kind of work out with what's coming up. But as always guys, what did you think of The Mandalorian? Did you enjoy it as much as me, and are you surprised it's got the amount of hype that it has? As always, leave your thoughts in the comments below, I love to read them. And as always, huge thank you for all the support. If you're new, please consider dropping a like and subscribe to help this channel grow. And if you want to enjoy us talking a little more out of universe geekdom outside of the Warhammer fanbase, then make sure you let me know. But with that said, I am off and I'll see you all again real soon.